Chapter 15: Conviction over Noise. There is a tension that defines our time. On one side, there is noise, constant, relentless, demanding attention. It rewards speed, volume, and visibility. It invites you to speak often, react quickly, and remain present at all times. It measures success by how much you are seen. On the other hand, there is conviction, quiet, steady, and deliberate. It is not concerned with how often you speak, but with what you are saying. It is not driven by visibility, but by truth. It does not rush. It does not react. It remains grounded. Every communicator must choose between these two: noise or conviction. Noise is easy to follow. It tells you to keep producing, to stay relevant, to say something, even when there is nothing meaningful to say. It encourages repetition without reflection, expression without depth. And because it is everywhere, it becomes normal. You begin to believe that constant activity equals progress, that visibility equals value, that attention equals impact. But this is not always true. Attention can be gained without understanding. Visibility can exist without trust. Activity can continue without direction. Noise creates the appearance of movement, but not always the substance of it. Conviction is different. Conviction is rooted in understanding. It comes from knowing what you believe, why you believe it, and what you are responsible for communicating. It does not require constant expression. It requires accurate expression. A person operating from conviction does not feel the need to speak at all times. They speak when there is something to say. And when they speak, it carries weight because it is clear, because it is intentional, because it is grounded in truth. This is what separates conviction from noise. There is a cost to choosing noise. Over time, it weakens clarity. When you speak constantly, without reflection, your message becomes diluted. The essential is buried under the unnecessary. The important is mixed with the irrelevant. And eventually, people stop distinguishing between what matters and what does not. Everything begins to feel the same. This is how meaning is lost. There is also a deeper consequence. When communication is driven by attention rather than truth, it begins to shift. The focus moves from what is accurate to what is appealing, from what is necessary to what is popular. This introduces compromise. You begin to adjust your message to fit what is expected. You shape your communication based on what will be received quickly rather than what needs to be understood deeply. And in this process, clarity is reduced because clarity requires alignment with truth, not with preference. This is where conviction becomes essential. Conviction anchors you. It gives you a standard that is not dependent on external response. It allows you to remain consistent even when attention is not immediate. It enables you to communicate with purpose rather than pressure. This aligns with your conviction doctrine. In your work, you emphasize that communication should not be driven by reaction, but by principle. That the goal is not to be seen, but to be understood. That clarity is not a tactic, but a standard. This is what conviction produces. It creates a stable foundation from which communication flows. Conviction also introduces restraint. It allows you to say no. No to unnecessary expression. No to distractions that pull you away from your purpose. No to the pressure to remain constantly visible. This restraint is not limitation, it is focus. Because when you are clear about what matters, you do not need to respond to everything. You remain aligned. There is also a relationship between conviction and clarity. Conviction clarifies what you stand for. It defines your message. It shapes your communication. Without conviction, clarity becomes unstable. Your message changes depending on the situation. Your expression shifts based on what is expected. Your communication becomes inconsistent. But with conviction, clarity becomes consistent. What you say aligns with what you believe. What you communicate reflects what you stand for. There is no need for adjustment based on external pressure. This is what builds trust. Choosing conviction over noise also changes your pace. You begin to slow down, not in a way that reduces progress, but in a way that increases precision. You take time to think, to refine, to ensure that what you are communicating is clear and necessary. This may appear less active, but it is more effective because what is communicated carries weight. There is a question that must be asked. Why are you communicating? Is it to be seen or is it to be understood? Is it to gain attention or is it to communicate truth? Your answer to this question will shape everything. Because if the goal is attention, noise will seem attractive. But if the goal is understanding, conviction becomes necessary. Take a moment to reflect. Where in your communication are you responding to noise? Where are you speaking out of pressure rather than purpose? Where might your message be diluted by unnecessary expression? These are important considerations because clarity requires alignment, and alignment requires conviction. Conviction does not eliminate communication, it refines it. It ensures that what you say matters, that what you produce is intentional, that what you communicate is clear. It removes what is unnecessary and strengthens what is essential. In a world driven by noise, conviction becomes a distinguishing factor. It allows your message to stand, not because it is louder, but because it is clearer. It creates consistency. It builds trust. It produces understanding. And over time, it leads to impacts. Do not chase attention. Pursue truth. Do not speak constantly. Speak clearly. Do not follow noise. Stand in conviction. Because when communication is rooted in conviction, it does not need to compete. It is understood.